But there's something going on in this city that's going to be Citizens Bank Park in a few hours is going to be rocking. So who better to have here to talk about it than Tom Housenick? Tom, how are you doing?
Good, sir. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. What's it like? Are you like a proud papa, somebody who saw this daycare come through the system? Ranger Suarez, the starter tonight. You've seen him come up as a minor leaguer. Here these guys are as contributors in the National League Championship Series.
He is one guy I can honestly say I had no idea he had this in him. Completely fooled me. He's just one of those guys that you think, okay, he's not bad. He could maybe be a fifth starter a little bit, and he's a lot more than that. So, hats off to the Phillies for seeing something. And when they called him up the first time, a few years ago, I was like, what are they thinking? But now we know what they're thinking. The guy got some moxie. His stuff is not fantastic, but the guy knows how to pitch, and I'll take 5 of those guys anytime.
Well, yeah. Look, we know we have Wheeler and we have Nola, even though Nola didn't excel the other night. But beyond that, it's you have a 7-game series ultimately if it goes all the way. Ranger and possibly Bailey Falter. Those are not names as you watch them going through the system that these guys were going to potentially be your third and fourth starter if you ever made it to the NLCS. What are you expecting of Ranger tonight? And if Bailey Falter starts at game 4, what would you expect from him?
Well, let me go to Bailey first. He was one guy that I kind of liked. Again, it wasn't about his stuff. It was just about something internal. The guy just has that fight, that desire. I don't know what it is to put a finger on it, but it's one of those guys. When I saw him, I liked him, and I was kind of nervous that Phillies were kind of jerking him around again, like they've done with some players in the past, and that they were going to kind of ruin the guy. But the guy's just tougher than anything they can put him through. So I'm not surprised that he's given this opportunity. I think he's earned it. So that being said about him, I'm not sure what I would think of him pitching in the postseason. Ranger, I feel very good about. Again, the moment's not going to get too big for him. He's either going to make mistakes with his pitches that we've seen gotten hit at different times this year, or he's going to give them 5 good innings, and they're going to be in position to take the series lead.
You talk about the moment not being too big. Bryson Stott, the moment has not been too big. He's met the moment. He's been there. Alec Boehm, his defense at times, everybody always knew his defense would be questioned, but he's out there. What have you seen from these guys? It's their first experience on this big stage like this.
Listen, they don't need Stott to be a hero, and they didn't need him to be a hero during the season. They just needed to let him play up there every day, and maybe by some circumstance, that's what ended up happening. I mean, were they going to keep him up there if there weren't injuries at the beginning of the year? I don't know. I don't think so. I think I was going to see him a lot more in AAA. But what happened is he stayed up there. They let him play through the rough spots, which is what we've been saying about some other young guys in the past. And he came through pretty good. He's a tough kid. He has skills. He can play. I believe he's going to be a major leaguer for a while. Again, they don't, and I think he knows this. They don't need him to be a hero in the playoffs. They just need him to make the plays on defense, which, he's only made one mistake so far. And, if he's given the time to shine on offense, so be it. But as we've seen in a lot of these postseason games, except a couple of Phillies games, you don't need a lot of runs to win games if you get good pitching. So I think he's in a good spot. There's not a lot of pressure on him. I don't think he's putting a lot of pressure on himself. And I'm just happy to see that the guy's gotten through the whole season where he should have been all along.
We've heard in the last couple of days, we've heard Bryce Harper talk and tout the organization and what they've done in bringing in Dombrowski and bringing in the people that they've brought in to handle the minors and the way that they're developing players now. You and I and Jason have talked in the past about Scott Kingery and how they mismanaged that. What have you seen is the difference between just how they handled somebody like Scott Kingery and how they handled Bryson Stott?
Well, I think it goes beyond just Stott this year. I think we can give the Phillies credit for a little more than just him. First of all, they could have still found a way to send him to AAA and play every day, or they could have given him that month where he really struggled, couldn't get over 200, and they could have sent him down again, and they kept him there. And I think they've got to take, Dombrowski's got to get some of the credit for that. Look, there were a lot of times in the past that would have been, like a Mickey Mooniac, you're going back after 10 days, but they didn't do that. And they made the right call, whether Stott had the kind of second half that he had or not. They made the right call. But they also did the right call on guys like Vierling, on Maton, Hall, Guthrie, even Appel. These guys all deserved the opportunity to see if they could play at that level. And to different extents, they all showed that they can play. I thought they kept Hall down too long in September, but they gave him the shot, and he showed them that, look, I can hit major league pitching. Now next time he's up for an extended time, you see how pitchers adjust, et cetera. But he proved that he belongs there. Matt Vierling obviously belongs there. Nick Payton, for whatever reason, is a much better hitter in the majors than he is in the minors. But he is a valuable guy offensively. He can play a lot of positions on defense. Dalton Guthrie, if anybody plays harder than him, I haven't seen him in the Philly system in a long time. Love the kid. I'm thrilled he got an opportunity to play up there. Whether he gets another shot, I don't know, but he again showed that he belongs. The Phillies deserve credit for doing something they haven't done in recent years, which was give some of these younger guys a chance, find out if they can play or not. And I go back to a guy from 2017, Joey Meneses, International League Player of the Year, hit over 300, hit for power, hit for average, did everything. Never got a September call up, and it was gone. Goes overseas, comes back. The Nationals finally give him a chance because they have the fire sale. And the guy was one of the best hitters in the National League in the second half of the season, hitting over 300. The guy can hit. That was a mistake the Phillies made back then because they needed somebody like that back in 2017 and 2018. Now, these guys that I just talked about, these guys needed an opportunity to show that they can play. And the Phillies had a need, and they didn't look elsewhere. They had a AAA roster filled with minor leaguers and guys who had been in the majors up and down with other organizations. They didn't go to them like they had been in the past, other than Yairo Munoz. They went with these young guys and gave them a shot. And in my eyes, even with take a pitcher like Plasmeyer, who pitched twice in September, they all deserved it, and they all proved that they can be there. So I think moving forward, these guys all have value somewhere, whether it's with this organization or not, but they gave them a chance to come through, and they did. I think that's the biggest thing we can point to Dombrowski and the whole minor league staff saying, hey, look, we have some guys here. Let's give them a shot. And they all worked out.
You're somebody who's watched a lot of baseball in your life. You ever seen a baseball hit as far as Kyle Schwarber's the other night, 488 feet, the longest in Petco Park?
He doesn't get cheated, does he? He swings hard, and when he makes a contact, it can go a long way. It's pretty cool to watch. And again, if he wasn't such a likable guy, and when we knew how valuable he is in that clubhouse, if he wasn't all of those things, it wouldn't be so cool because he's hitting 215.
He's a 215 leadoff hitter that strikes out a ton. That I still look. Rob Thompson is much more qualified to be the manager than me. You and Jeff are probably more old school than I am, but I don't understand a leadoff hitter that does that type of numbers.
I'm really old school when it comes to that. I would much rather have a guy who puts the ball in play and finds a way on base for the big lumber to come up. But again, it works for this team. And again, you talked about Stott earlier. He doesn't need to be a hero because they have so many guys in this lineup who can do just what we're talking about here. One swing changes a game, especially when you're talking, a low scoring game. Schwarber's the guy for that. Harper's been the guy for that. I mean, Harper, if you would have told me when he got called up went back up after his injury, his 2-game rehab stint with us, if you would have told me that he was going to hit for whatever in the postseason after you saw a month of nothing, I would have never thought that. But again, he knows that's what he's getting paid for, and that's all that matters to him is that he's in the playoffs now, and I'm taking care of the team that I'm supposed to. And there's a lot of other guys in that lineup that can do that too. We've seen a little bit of Castellanos. We've seen Schwarber, and Hoskins has had some big hits. Those are the guys who are supposed to do it. If Stott does anything else, that's a bonus. And that's the way they have to look at it, even out of center field. They got that, the big home run from Marsh. That's a huge bonus. Anything out of Marsh or Vierling is the icing on the cake because they have guys that they're paying to be big hitters in the postseason, and they're coming through.
Yeah, well, the one thing they don't have is big hitters in the bullpen, or at least didn't. Sir Anthony Dominguez seems to have refound his form, which is great, and kind of what we kind of expect from him. He's back to that place. But Alvarado at the beginning of the season was horrible. And they sent him to the minors, and he has come back, and he has become one of the best relievers in Major League Baseball. What happened to him down there that he has come back and now been this go-to guy?
Well, I mean, there's always a minor tweak to a mechanic or to a grip or to something. But I think for him, most of it has to be mental. The guy has stuff that's electric. And you have to go back to think, okay, why did the Rays give up on this guy? Throwing 100 miles an hour and every pitch moves. There has to be something. So I think the Phillies tapped into what that something was, which was, look, when things get tough, you're going to, every back end of the bullpen guy is going to lose his control for a batter, maybe two, or make a mistake or two. But the bottom line is getting back on the horse and just realizing, hey, look, I'm in this position because I have the stuff to get these guys out. And I don't think he always had that confidence in himself when a batter or two went awry, when he threw 7 straight balls or whatever the case may be. Somebody's going to run into a home run on a 100-mile-an-hour pitch if you leave it over the plate. But the bottom line is it's how he reacted to those situations, and things always kind of seem to snowball with him. And I just think that, that time away and that time to kind of quiet things in his head and have the knowledge to know that the organization had the confidence in him that, you're going to go back up. They're going to put you back in a situation, and we'll see how you do. And I think he's taking a big advantage of that. And again, there's Brogdon, and he still doesn't have that mental strength to say, hey, look, okay, I just left one over the plate. They whacked it. I've got to get the next guy. He still looks like he's kind of fighting to find himself and find that confidence consistently. And I worry about him, but I think Alvarado's in a really good place. And again, the guy's stuff is electric. It's about time we saw this kind of performance from him.
I wanted to ask off the field before I let Jeff go to the prediction. Dusty Wathan is drawing interest from potentially the Marlins or the Royals as a manager. Jeff has advocated Dusty being a manager at the major league level for many years on this radio show, going back to when we did a minor league show. Your thoughts on Dusty and his chances of finally getting a chance at the big league level as a manager?
I hope he doesn't have to wait as long as Rob Thompson did. I think he's, I dealt with him daily for 1 year, parts of several other years, and I always thought he's got what it takes to be a manager at any level. I just like the way he runs the team. I like the way he runs the clubhouse. He's kind of some old school in there. And I'm sure he's taken a lot from the many managers that he's worked with since he's been third base coach with the Phillies. But his time's come. I hope he gets a shot. Doesn't matter where it is. I think he'll do a good job. And again, I think the players that he worked with a lot of really good minor league players, a lot of good prospects, and he found a way to make sure that they played the game the right way, that they prepared the right way. And that says a lot about a manager. And again, there's a lot of ways to manage. It depends on a lot of things. We see Rob Thompson's, his low-key approach is what the Phillies needed. I personally would have rather Joe Madden be managing. And now that Rob has done such a great job, there's no chance Joe Madden's coming to Philly. But that being said, Rob Thompson has, he earned the opportunity a long time ago. And the fact that he's finally gotten a chance, again, we talked about these other players that the Phillies have kind of not given a chance to in the past. That's kind of what's happening with Dusty. If he keeps coming up on the, number 2 on the list for the Marlins or the Royals or any of these teams, and to be ashamed because the guy knows the game. The guy knows how to run a clubhouse, and I think he's deserved a shot. And I'm 100% with Jeff on this one.
Well, we got 3 games in 3 days, NLCS games at Citizens Bank Park. If you have to make a prediction of what's going to happen over the next 3 games in this series, what's your prediction?
The Phillies will win at least 2 of them, and the Phillies will win the series, no matter what happens in any of them. I believe, and then this is going to come out maybe wrong for Phillies fans, but this postseason is everything about what's wrong with baseball. We play 162 games to eliminate 60%. The Phillies, by all means, underachieved in the playoffs. They didn't have a great September, yet here they are in the playoffs, getting hot at the right time. They're healthy, which a lot of the teams are not, and things are kind of falling in place. I'm the old school guy, like 1 wild card, 3 division champs. That's 8 teams. That's plenty. But the Phillies have taken advantage of the situation. They got healthy. They got guys, finding their stride. We talked about Alvarado. He's just one of several. Castellanos had probably a forgettable regular season, and they're just putting it together at the right time. Everything is just kind of falling into place for them. And wow. I'm sure Major League Baseball is praying from a marketing standpoint that the Phillies make the World Series, because the World Series, would probably be a nightmare again for a lot of reasons. But I think they're kind of hoping the Phillies come through too. But I really believe that this is it's kind of been like the perfect storm for them, and I think they're going to win the series.
They're definitely praying for some major market teams. Tom Housenick, thank you for always giving us a few minutes. Enjoy watching the games this weekend, and go Phils.
Appreciate it, guys. Good to see you.